All right, so I'm super excited about this presentation. We're going to talk about food and nutrition in children, and kind of the extremes of health and some situations, both the extremes of overnutrition and also the extremes of undernutrition. So nutrition within children is extremely important. Sometimes we don't even think about it because they're growing up so fast. But nutrition really does play a huge part in a child's development, um, not only physically, but also mentally, and also just long-term habits and their health. And there are, we see it on both sides of the spectrum, extreme nutrition and undernutrition in all areas of the world, and different diseases that come from overnutrition or undernutrition. Um, it's essential that children begin and maintain these habits of nutrition as they grow up, and important that people around them, leaders, parents, teachers, that they also help them in their journey through nutrition. And here we'll be talking about different studies that have been done. Here's just some facts here. The increasing rates of child obesity is 340 million children between 5 and 19 were said to be obese. Excuse me. So that's pretty big. That's pretty important. And another one is global hunger and malnutrition, um, at 144 million. So you can see um, the stark differences between obesity and malnutrition. So it's something that I have found through studying, and I think it's really incredible, is the benefits of kind of starting the journey is the benefits of breastfeeding a child. Um, it gives them it gives them all of the nutritions they need. Something that I find is just super remarkable is they're tiny when they're born, and then we can get them to be so blown up, in a matter of months. It's because uh, the breastfeeding does give the children the needed nutrition, like it says there, the vitamins, proteins, and the fats that are needed for the baby to grow big and healthy. Um, Not only does it give them these nutrients they need, but it also gives them, like I said, antibodies to fight off sicknesses. I read something that, you know, when a baby has like an ear infection or an eye infection, actually something that mothers do is actually often put the breast milk in the eye to because it contains those antibodies that ultimately help the baby and can fight off these sicknesses. So it's pretty incredible, um, what the body can do. Um, it not only gives the babies nutrients, it also lowers the risks of asthma and other allergies as the baby grows up. Um, and also, lowers the decreases the chances of different sicknesses, ear infections, respiratory illnesses, and things like that. So all around it's pretty incredible. So like I told said in the beginning, kind of taught mentioned the obesity and then the malnutrition. Um, just kind of, and I'll jump around a bit in the slideshow. But just to start off with obesity, some things that are causing this obesity that we see in children and developing teenagers is just poor diet. I mean, we're college students. Of course, we're outside of that 5 to 19 age, but we but we still have possibly poor diets because we don't. we don't make the most money. So um, the lack of physical activity, I know that I see it nowadays, and studies are going up of kids that are stuck behind screens. Um, so that mixed with a poor diet, can really help, not help, but can really affect the child and make them gain weight. Um, Sometimes we don't even give ourselves the area to get to these healthy foods. Parents, if we're busy, we come home from work and we order takeout. It may not be the best food, and so we're encouraging that, and it becomes easier, almost, maybe not financially, but it becomes easier on us, and we become more lazy in preparing foods, for taking the time to prepare these foods and stuff. Um, and some negative effects that come in from just these uh, lack of activity and low diets is an increased risk in chronic illnesses like diabetes, hypertension, and uh, psychological effects like low self-esteem and depression. So not only does it have an effect physically, but it also has an effect emotionally, psychologically. And then kind of going to the other side of the spectrum, um, world hunger. Like I said in the beginning, 144 million children under five. That's only under five. Um, that we're experiencing. Then over 45 million children um, suffer from low weight because there is not proper nutrition in their diets. And so, it's pretty hard to see that, in different countries and in different places around the world. We see that usually the more wealthy the country, usually more see more of the um, obesity side of things, just because we start to get more reluctant and we kind of rely on quicker, easier methods like fast food. Um, some causes of hunger, it is just poverty. If you don't have the enough money to provide for your family, then you may not be able to eat. And another big thing is conflict. You see it when there's wars. Often they shut off um, trade routes, and so the supplies can't actually get to these people. And so they may be they may have been in a pretty wealthy place before, but now they're um, suffering because their supplies are not getting to them. So somewhere that this starts is kind of just education. Um, I know that, at least in my school, it probably wasn't the best lunch. So something important starting in the beginning is just that balanced meals. When the kids are growing up, if you're feeding them extremely poor food through lunches, it's going to encourage that behavior, and you're not helping them. You can teach it in the classroom, but if you're also providing, then that's pretty bad. And like I said, not only you have to apply it, but you also have to teach it in the classroom. You have to teach kids and then show, these good eating behaviors, good food to eat, healthy food to eat, nutritious food, teaching them about nutrition, and things like that. Um, so it is very important that teachers kind of get on that front lines and start teaching uh, students and their and then peers, teaching others about nutrition and moving forward with that. Not only in schools, but also at home. Something that I've discussed with my wife is, what if we get down to a certain road and we notice that our kids aren't as healthy? You know, we can change their diet. And that's a little dramatic. Um, we need to be educating. I know that um, when we're kind of just raised a certain way and we're not taught, we don't necessarily understand. It's just kind of like uh it's just a habit of ours to eat this certain way. But when we have that freedom, the financial freedom, or we think we have that financial freedom, as college students, we can often abuse that if we're not educated properly, if we're not seeing the example from our parents. So just kind of showing them that as they grow up, and also, giving them the proper food to eat. If we're setting them out with terrible food, um, then they're gonna grow up with that kind of mentality, and part of that is part of meal planning. You have to plan ahead to kind of prepare these nutritious meals for the kids, because often we run to the store and it's like, okay, well, that's easy. Pop Tarts, easy, grab it. We're not meal planning. So if we plan before we make the shopping list and we go to the store, we we can plan for more nutritious meals because we know what we need to cook. But if we go to the store and we're not even prepared, then we're grabbing things off the shelf. The kids like chips. That's easy. We grab the chips. It's not always about easy. Not quality. It's quantity. It's not, sorry. It's not quantity. It's quality. Excuse me. Um, and kind of just going back, like I said, we're going to jump around back to obesity. Um, Things that kind of go with that is just sedentary lifestyles. When like I said, when we see it in higher, more affluent countries, we have access to this stuff. I mean, I know that I'm a culprit. I sit down and work all day. I come and sit down and study all day, and then I'm hungry, so I throw on some ramen noodles, and then at the end I throw on a donut. I'm not getting the nutrition that I need. And then I'm also just being extremely sedentary. So I'm not even moving to burn off those calories. And that plays along with that goes on with the kids. They're sitting behind screens, they're not moving, you know. They need to be outside, they need to be playing, exercise. So those things are extremely important. Some things that go into that obesity side is stress eating and emotional eating. I talked about it before. Some of the psychological factors, that when we start eating that fast food, there's chemicals in there that are just destroying us, and then we start, developing these um, different, uh, I guess, things where we start developing stress, start developing anxiety. So we can cope with that by eating. And we see that a lot. Um, like I said, possible solutions, limiting screen time. I think that's a huge one that I can see all around. I'm sure you guys have seen the pictures of, what it was like in 1980 to be a kid, and they're outside in 1990, and then it changes through the years. And here we are in 2024, and it's like kids are on the phone, they're behind a screen watching movies. We need to be going out and doing exercise. And then also the other side of that is also hunger. You know, some, as I discussed before, natural disasters, wars, conflict, these all feed into these not getting proper nutrition. If they are getting any nutrition at all, it's not what they need. They're missing some. Um, and going along with that is limited access to healthcare and education. When you're in a situation like that, you're not necessarily worried about, education. It's more of survival. How am I going to eat next? And it may not, and it's not going to be what you need. And so you're focused on this survival of how do I eat next? And then you're not getting that nutrition. You're not getting the education that you need. Um, and we've seen it before. Aid packages, you see it all the time. Support this country, support this, and those are important because that if that money really is going to aid that place, then we're helping them. We're helping people who can't help themselves, and that is so important. I mean, it's taught all over in the gospel. Um, and even just community-based things, just going and volunteering at a food bank, donating to a food bank. Those things are so small, but so important. You know, I have a couple cans that I'm not going to eat. I can go donate them. That is helping people get food. And I think that getting food established and not being worried about what your next meal is, then you can move on to the fact of nutrition. Going from eating canned food to incorporating fruit now. And there are substitutes for that. They aren't as healthy, but you can do it. Canned fruit, canned vegetables, those are still great options, but they're not the same as, getting fresh fruit. And just going back of teaching these things, parents and educators have a huge role in these things. By us educating and promoting these things to children and students, it allows them to have an understanding, so that at least when they, are going to McDonald's every day and they get to a certain point where they start to worry about their health, they have the resources where they've been educated, they can see the examples of their parents, um, and just educating them properly so that when they get that freedom, that they don't fall into the trap of fast food. So basically, the importance of nutrition cannot be focused on enough. Um, in order for children to develop properly, we need to give them proper nutrition. Um, Helping others in any way we can is also extremely important. I love the message. Healthy kids today mean a healthier society tomorrow. We all have a role in promoting nutrition and also the well-being of our young generations. Here we've discussed the important role of nutrition, the different challenges that we face, and the steps we can take to begin to raise a generation of healthier people, healthier children. So, I here are some sources, 9 different sources that were used throughout the presentation. Uh, let's continue to eat right, and let's raise the newest generation to eat right as well.